Okay, so here I'm back at the remote terminal and I'm going to SSH into the LFS 12.3 machine as root because that's currently the only user on there. Okay, you can see it's a brand new access because it says it's unknown because we've just installed SSH, OpenSSH. One thing I'm going to do, because this prompt is just black and white, it's hard to make out from the rest of the commands on the screen and stuff on the screen. I'm going to edit the bash profile and add in a few lines. Right, it's new. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the prompt. So I'm going to have a working directory. On a new line, I'm going to have the username at the home, the host name, and show that it's a root user. So working directory, new line, user at home. So that hopefully will make it a little bit easier to see things. Not echo, export. Right, that's a little bit better. It'd be better if there's some colour, but I'm not bothered with that for the moment. And I might also do something else if I can remember how to do it. Because there's a laptop, the screens come on. It's just at the terminal text login screen. So what I want to do is to switch it off every time I boot it. Otherwise, I have to log in, type the command in automatically. Right, I wonder if yeah, it might be a bit later on. Probably best to do that because there'll be some more configuration to do. Let's just have a look further on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll leave it like it is for the moment. And I'll get GPM and links installed, and then we can get on with doing the actual MLFS build. So that's the MLFS book. That's the online page, so we don't really need that anymore. Let's go to Beyond Linux from Scratch, and let's do GPM next. Right, that jumped for some reason. GPM. Okay, so remember we're on the Linux from Scratch 12.1 here. So everything we were doing before in a true environment, we're now in the actual real environment. So I'll just change the sources, BLFS, and we'll install, like I say, the last two packages, GPM being the first one. So yeah, that's one thing. There's a few times we've got to go to the kernel and change some settings that might be missing, and then rebuild the kernel and reinstall it. As we go through, I'm not going to be rebuilding every single time, just to save some time. I've got hopefully somewhere a pre-compiled kernel that I'll be updating at some point. So I will install the kernel once, or rebuild the kernel once, just to pull in all the changes that I found I needed. Some of these were in and some weren't. So, for example, this is the original kernel, I believe. I can't remember if this was in or not. So let's mount. Oh no, we don't need to mount the boot. In fact, we can look at the sources. Let's grep for that key there in sources linux.config, and oh yeah, I can't really see that, can we, because the font's too big. Input mouse dev, yeah, so it's already set, so there is no need to rebuild the right, I've just resized the fonts there so it would fit on properly, and that means that everything's gone missing now. Right, yeah, there we go. It's inside the box now. So it means that I don't need to rebuild it in this case because the correct options are set, so it should work as it is. But if you find that's not set, you'll need to either build it in or set it as a module to get it to work. So let's get this building. Yeah, that's right. The problem with the default prompt is you don't know what directory you're in without doing pwd all the time, so it's a bit of a pain. That's why I changed the PS1 to show that, but later on I'll be putting some colour in just to make the prompt stand out a bit more. Okay, that's built. I haven't got text live, so there's no documentation to install. Let's build or install it. And that should be it. And then once again, if you remember what I said about keeping the BLFS boot scripts directory around, we now need it again. So just change into it, make install GPM to install the scripts. And then we need to modify this or create this mouse config file. I won't do those commands because it'll overwrite what changes I've got. So I'll just edit it in this case. I can't remember if that works by default now. Yes, it does. It's already working on the screen, so I don't need to change anything there. In fact, I think it's just the default. Yeah, these options here have worked. Tends to work for most mice on most systems. Occasionally might come across problems. For example, one system I've got with a serial mouse, and you have to set that to dev STTY0 for the equivalent of COM1 on Windows. And I think the protocol was different. I think it was something like MMS or something. But it says here how to get the help for other device names and so on. And you can run GPM by itself to get some help. So if you do get stuck. And I could start, well, it's already started because it's in the boot script, but if you want to use the mouse straight away, you can just run the boot script to start the daemon off by typing that in. If I type that in, it will come with an error because it's already started. So that's GPM. Let's now do links. Okay, there it is. So let's come back out of there. Extract links. Change into it. That's the point. I don't think I've got make flag sets at the moment. No, I haven't. So I'll have to remember to set the flags on make to -J4 to force it to use 4 cores, being as there's no environment variable there set for make to look for and use. Right, so that's built. Let's now install it. And again, the output on this screen might look slightly different to yours. Remember, I'm reinstalling, so the output, what it finds, it might delete something it's found to reinstall it. So don't be too concerned. Right, so I don't know if this config has been overwritten with a default on the installation, so I'm going to look for this setting locale underscore char set colon. So it's set to false there. Let's search for it again. Yeah, see, it's been added in here, so I don't need to do anything else. Default editor vi set there. Persistent cookies true set as well, so it has retained the existing config. So I'm not going to run these, but you probably want to put all of these changes in, unless you've got a specific reason not to. So that should be links done. If just run it, there it is there. And let's check I can get to my local server. Let's do MLFS 12.3. Okay, maybe it was in capitals. No, I can't remember now. Let's do this one here, BLFS 12.3. BLFS-12.3. Okay, no, it's not working. Why is that? Right, yeah, because I'm typing this in wrong. That's better. So, yeah, I've accessed my local server. Let's try the LFS one, should be there as well. That's better. So you can see that's all working. So that's all we need to do for the BLFS part. So all we've done so far, we haven't started any work at all on Multilib LFS. All I've been doing is preparing the host environment, which is the LFS 12.3 that was built in the last video at the beginning of March 2025. I've prepared it with some additional tools just so that it makes it easier to use it as a host and to use it remotely while we build up Multilib from scratch.